Hey everybody, how's it
Hey,
going?
girl, hello.
Happy Sunday before Super Bowl Sunday.
All right.
Yeah. So today
Hey,
we are one man down. Ane has some festivals, like Renaissance Festival things going on for a while, so she's not going to be with us for probably a month and a half ish, give or take. So that's okay though. We got three of us, three's company, and the Three Musketeers and the Three Stooges.
Three Stooges. I'll take that one.
I don't know which one of us is which stooge, but hey, everybody, Rich, Eileen. No, that's
That's
you.
me,
I
silly.
was like, wait, that's you. Jackie and Pamela, a different Jackie, not that Jackie, and
I am
Bridget.
out of Facebook jail. I can actually
Oh
comment
my
now.
goodness, congratulations. That's funny. Hey,
Hey,
Rebecca.
Becca.
And now I saw that Holly's in Facebook jail, but only for 24 hours, she said. So I don't know what she did. I asked her, but I didn't see what she did. So, hey,
Probably something
everybody.
stupid.
Happy Sunday, huh?
Hey, Irene. Probably something stupid like everyone else.
Yeah. I haven't ever been in there. I've been not able to share stuff, like, because I shared too much, I guess. I don't know. But other than that, I haven't. Hey,
Hey,
Tracy. First
Tracy.
time watching from Wales. Welcome from Wales, UK. Hey, Troy.
And
And
Troy
all
is not purple. I just went really, really dark brown.
Jacqueline is from UK also. So we're going to talk
Hey,
about, hey,
bud.
WL. Is that Bud?
That's Bud.
Okay, I was like, it doesn't say Bud, but it's his last name. Happy Setsubun Day. What is Setsubun Day, Irene? Tell us. Tell us what it is. I like hearing about all the stuff that's different over there that we don't get to be like, a part of and know. So it's cool to live vicariously through Irene. Hey, Rich. And purple would have been cool.
It
Purple.
would have been, but my job would not allow that. That's why I said y'all are gonna be very disappointed, but I have never been this dark. I don't think ever.
Yeah, purple would be cool. You can always buy a wig though. You don't have to do it at work. You
I
can
got
just
my
wear it
pink
and take
and
it.
blue wig, and when I was
Yeah.
cleaning out my father-in-law's, I found the little mannequin head. I was like, "Oh,
Uh,
we're keeping that for my wigs."
a mannequin head.
Yep, that's a yeah, that
Like
thingy.
the wig heads or the
Yeah,
mannequin heads with the actual face painted on them?
no, his just the his was for his hats.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't. He was a dude, so
Yeah, they have some that like are made for wigs and some that are made for like cosmetology and stuff. Like you put makeup on them, cut their hair and all that junk.
I thought about getting that, especially for the nails, so I could start working on
Yeah,
nails.
the
Yeah,
hands, the little hands. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, those are neat too. And you can put the nails on them and take them off. And they even have nail beds, like little deep
Yep.
crevices there. So I don't know what that has to do with pandemic deaths, but you know what? It might have something to do with it. They
It might
probably
it
had
might have
dummies and
caused
mannequins back then.
it might have caused some pandemic somewhere.
Yeah. Or someone could have had something to do with, their nails could have got bacteria and they could have stuck them in their mouth because they touched somebody and they got a plague.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah. So I picked a topic to talk about, and I don't even know how I came about this subject. I have no clue. I don't remember what made it pop up or whatnot, but there was two different places that I had seen, but one of them was Mary King's Close, and a close was in Scotland back in the 1700s. It was a an alleyway that was designated, you know, in the back in the bubonic plague era in the 17th century. Mary King's Close was named after Mary King, which was a real person, and it was designated for people that had the bubonic plague to stay in that alleyway. They It was kind of like an underground habitat for them to stay in, where they could, I guess, like mingle and rest and try to have the best kind of life that they could have when they had the plague. I don't know, what kind of lifestyle or quality of life that would be, but um, they could, visit with each other because it was basically not really quarantine because it wasn't sectioned off or anything, but it was basically known as an area for people that had the plague to go to. So if you didn't have it, you weren't going to go there, obviously, because you knew that it was designated for people that already had it, so they could kind of somewhat quarantine themselves to this alleyway. And there were a lot of alleyways like this one, like they were like rock alleyways that went in between buildings and stuff and houses. But the article that I read said this is the only one from the 17th century that's still standing and preserved for historical value. Like you can go there and you can get a tour, and they'll tell you about the bubonic plague, or they'll tell you about Mary King, and like I guess explain kind of like how that alleyway and the other alleyways that used to be there were used and stuff. So I do have some stuff I can pull up and show you guys for photos. As far as screen sharing, I need to like talk to. I feel like Greg Balkin is really good at screen sharing. I don't know if anyone else is, but he's pretty good at it. Maybe I should tell him, like, tell me, how are you so smooth at that? He must do it a lot more than I do. And then from Paranormal United Network, Rick was always really good at that. He's the one that trained me how to use StreamYard, actually. So, yeah, he did a good
Still didn't
job.
train me.
He so trained me really, really well. Like walked me through every tiny step, everything. So I'm going to screen share and show you guys some articles and some photos and stuff. And this was designated in 2004 as one of the most haunted locations. Mary King's Close was. It was on the show Most Haunted in an episode in 2004. They did a special episode about it. Sharon? I'm not going to share until I pull it up. Because I always share everything I'm doing, and then you got to see every step that I go through to get there. Instead, you can just stare at my forehead. There we go. And then someone had told me yesterday about an island off of Italy that I sent. If either one of the girls wanted to talk about it, called Poveglia, and it was an island that was like a quarantine, basically like a resting place for people.
Okay, from any kind of epidemic?
Yeah, well, no, I don't know if it was for any kind or for one specific epidemic. I don't remember what time of year. I'll have to pull that article up, but it was definitely people went there and they were just left there to die.
That's crazy.
All right, now I can screen share.
All right.
I didn't want to share like everything. You're like read all my personal crap. I mean, not like it matters. It's not anything exciting. It's not exciting. Nothing exciting. There we go. But that way you don't have to go through Facebook. You can just go to the article that I was going to show. And it's actually the haunted rooms, which me and Jason were talking to about doing some investigations and getting paid through them to do investigations. But Mary King's Close history, it's in Edinburgh, Scotland. It says in the 17th century, the merchant's name was Mary King, a past resident of the Close. Lying deep beneath the streets of Edinburgh Old Town lies a dark maze of closes, which is what I was saying. There was a bunch of mazes, like not a bunch of mazes, but a bunch of alleyways, and I guess it looked like a maze. That would be really cool for if you could see it from high up. And it was known as Mary King's Close. I guess a lot of them were actually included in that. Mary King's Close consisted of several underground closes that would have originally been very narrow walkways with dwellings on either side, sometimes rising to 7 stories high. I didn't know that. That's awesome. People lived and worked there, with the poorer residents living on the bottom floors and the wealthier living on the top floors. The outbreak of the plague, with no sewage system in Edinburgh in the 17th century, people would have to go and do their business in a bucket. Each household had one. That'd be so pleasant. At a specific time each day, people would listen for the cry of "Gardyloo," which would signal to the residents that it's time to throw the waste in the buckets into the street to be collected.
Wow.
I wonder if they had a plague. That's how they got it. If you ever tour Mary King's Close, you'll notice that each side of the road has channels for the waste to run down the street towards what was known as Nor Loch, a heavily polluted lake located where the Princess Street Gardens now stands. Probably because it was well fertilized. The garden grows there
Wow.
now from all the plague poo. You can imagine the smell and disease having this rotting excrement so close to your homes would cause. This was one of the reasons why in the mid 1600s a plague ravaged Edinburgh, particularly Mary King's Close. During the plague, contrary to popular belief, the close was not sealed with plague victims inside in 1645. Those healthy enough and those who wanted to move were relocated to Burgh Muir. So, like I was saying, it was kind of like a quarantined area. And I guess the ones that didn't have it, they moved out and they got out of Dodge. The people who chose to stay behind during the outbreak continued to go on about their lives and run their businesses. Those suffering from the plague would have white flags outside of their homes, or they'd have white sheets. I read they'd put a white sheet up, and that basically signified that their house had the plague in it.
Wow.
That they needed food and coal, then delivered by council workers and volunteers. And that is where the plague doctor mask came from. It was a real thing. It actually happened, and it was actually invented by doctors that would go and visit the plague victims to help keep them from smelling the stench of the plague, the stench of the poo. They would put herbs in the beak mask to create like a better smell, and it was supposed to also, it was thought to help like, what do you want to call it, like antibacterialize the air that they were breathing so that they might not catch it that way. They wore suits that went all the way down to their ankles, like a trench coat type thing or poncho type jacket that was like not penetrated. It wasn't like cotton with holes in it or like woven. They wore those, and they wore pants that went all the way down to their ankles, and they were hard to pierce so that would protect the doctors. Some of the doctors worked there and took care of all of the plague patients, and they were promised by the city to be paid large chunks of money, and they never got the money once
Wow.
the people were either healed or dead in that area, and that they were done doing the job. They had to fight for a very long time to try to get their pay that they were promised from the city.
Wow.
To save a plague victim, let's see what this says. That was just what I had read before. I was kind of just going off what I knew. The plague doctor, George Ray, this is the one I was talking about. He's, I think, the one that didn't get paid. There's two of them, though, that it lists. Would visit the close wearing his bizarre crow-beaked mask, dressed head to toe in leather. The mask had a purpose. At the end of the beak, Ray would add strong-smelling herbs and flowers, which was believed to stop the airborne miasmas and thought to carry or that were thought to be carried in the plague. However, the disease-ridden fleas were to blame, which
Wow.
I forgot about, and the leather stopped them from biting your skin. So to save a plague victim, Ray would slice open the boils, letting the pus drain out, and then he would cauterize the wound with a red-hot poker. So you can imagine how painful this would have been back then, not having the technology we have now, to be getting stabbed, poked, bleeding, pus drained, and then burned with a hot poker. Yeah, that would sound great. While horrific, the technique went on to save many lives. I mean, I guess that's the most important part. But thank God for technology nowadays. They use computers and
Well, I mean,
electronics and
not
a
to
lot less
interrupt you or
painful.
anything. I'm about to say, not to interrupt
Go
you or
ahead.
anything, but yeah, we're sitting here like with the poop and with all that. Yes, it's disgusting. Yes, it's all, but thankfully, in a way, we learned so much from every
Yeah.
disease that's been out there and every pandemic and all. Because of that, we are where we are now. If that
Yeah.
makes sense. Because
Yeah.
without all that going on, I mean, we would not be medically, in the medical field, we would not be where we are now to keep this stuff down. And now we know, I mean, you had to do what you had to do back then. I mean, I was reading somewhere that, it all does sound funny to us and all, but I mean, that's the way life was back then. It's just so hard to imagine life so different,
Yeah.
Back then as it is now.
And thinking about like where did the fleas come from? Probably rats and pests, you know, which probably festered in the channels of poo and other things that got thrown out. You can imagine like the sanitation though, like if you
Wow.
ate
Yeah.
in your little like you ate in your home and you lived right by that, yeah, and there's kids running around and playing, you can imagine. So the
Mud
fleas,
pies. That's where mud pies came from.
right? You mean chocolate truffles, right? That's where the fudge shops got their idea. Chocolate covered peanuts and chocolate covered raisins. Along with other plague doctors, Ray was promised a financial reward for conducting such dangerous work by the city council. However, not believing they would survive, their hands were left in their pockets when it came time to reward him. It's believed that he lived out his days never having been fully compensated for his heroic efforts. Isn't that crazy? Like he put his life on the line to do that, and went through all of that
Yeah.
excruciating stuff while those people just sat there and said, "Yeah, we'll pay you just so we can sit in our 7-story, area and not be near y'all." And then he had to fight to get what he did get paid. I'm pretty sure I read that he had to fight, and I don't know if they had a regular court system, but he had to fight to get paid what he did get paid. Due to the building of the Royal Exchange in the 18th century, part of the close was demolished and buried, and that's why it's not there today. Most of it's not, but like I said, like Mary King's Close, the alleyway, I guess, that she resided on is still supposed to be there, and you can take historical tours now. Later, it was completely closed off to the public, with only a few small businesses still operating. The Cheney family saw business which was operating right up until 1902. I mean, that's a while ago, but not really. So the ghost part, where we get to the haunted part of the pandemic and the plague, a well-respected lawyer, Thomas Coldhart, and his family were one of those that refused to leave. It's reported that they were almost driven mad by images of disembodied limbs, a bodiless phantom of a child, and the ghost of a gruesome-looking dog that would curl up on a chair. One of the most famous and haunted places in Scotland, the Close has become well known worldwide for its wide variety of ghostly phenomena. Many visitors have reported seeing apparitions in those that once lived and died there, or of those that once lived and died there. A well known Japanese medium visited the Close when it was reopened to the public, and she contacted a little girl. The medium felt a tug on her coat as she left one of the rooms. As she looked back, she saw a little girl crying in the corner. The little girl said she died during the sickness in 1645, and the troubled child talked of a doll that she had lost, and she was lonely without it. Moved, the medium left her a doll, and ever since, visitors even often leave dolls and gifts in the corner. There's like a little, you can see it right here, like a little shrine. It's really neat looking. I saw that in several photos for kids, and then there's just a shrine of other things. I think there's more than one shrine, just to like kind of like, I guess, give respect and like maybe makes, if there's spirits there, maybe make them happy in some kind of way. Obviously they didn't die happy. And there's, I guess, coins and stuff, photos, coins, patches and stuff. Come on. Here's a picture of Dr. Ray's attire, like what he would have worn back then. It's pretty neat because you see people dress up like that for Halloween now, and it really wasn't a costume. It was a protective suit
Yeah.
that he wore to keep his life, saved, so that he could save all of those other lives. And this is part of Mary King's Close right here that you can, I think this is the actual one, you can still go down and you can take a historical tour. I think you can see some clotheslines here with clothes hanging on them. The real Mary King's Close. I'd really like to go there. I just think it looks really cool. Yeah,
Wow.
it'd be neat. So I won't read all the rest of this, but it does say the entrance to Mary King's Close is on the Royal Mile at 2 Warriston's Close. It's open daily, and tours are from 10:30 to 5 p.m. You will want to pre-book them, though. However, they're very popular. And then it tells where you can get tickets and how much they cost. You can go to realmarykingsclose.com to book tours and stuff. That's pretty cool. And that gives a map right there. Scottish National Gallery is nearby. Anyways, that's in Edinburgh, Scotland. I just thought that was really neat. I have a Scottish background, and that place just kind of, spoke to me of somewhere to talk about. And maybe go someday before I pass away. Put on my bucket list of places that I want to go. It's getting bigger and bigger.
Hopefully, you have at least 60 more years at the minimum.
I hope. I hope so. Yeah. Yeah. Who knows nowadays? Young people be passing away from COVID and stuff. So who knows? But I don't know if either one of y'all had another place to talk about, or did y'all want me to bring up the
Well, I'm about to say now, I didn't do a
Italian place?
unfortunately, anyone who kind of knows what's been going on with me, we've been kind of running like crazy around here. We had COVID, and then we had a death in the family, and now still dealing with that. So I haven't didn't really get time to truly do any research to learn anything. Of course, there's several pandemics out there, things like that. One thing that people don't think about is like Alcatraz. Alcatraz had yellow fever running through it.
Yeah.
Then cholera and things like that. And yes, Troy, I'm gonna if you ever come to Mississippi, I'll make you a mud pie. How's that? Just don't ask questions. But it's and I think
Yeah,
I
it's
think one
funny.
reason
He's talking about right now. He said running around in masks and isolating. Like, that sounds familiar.
sounds familiar, doesn't it? I think one reason so many of these places are haunted, and like I said, I don't really have a lot of research, but is because like nowadays, like with people who are in the hospital with COVID and all, you can FaceTime your loved ones. You can, there is a lot of technology now that can get you with your loved ones. Back then, when you had tuberculosis, you had all this other stuff. So many people not only died, either like I think cholera could get you within half a day if you got it and it was untreated. And that was really a lot of the poor people had that. But you died alone. And what I mean,
Mhm.
especially a child dying without mom and daddy next to them, husband and wife, things like that. That's got to be traumatic in itself, not just the quickness of the death or the pain of the death and all that, but just being alone during all that has got to be scary and leaves so many like I'm big on closure. On anything I do in life, I want closure.
I
Well,
like people to
you
have
have
closure
no
too, and
closure.
spirits to have closure.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah.
don't have the closure when you're alone, and that's why I do think so many in hospitals that had tuberculosis cases are haunted and things like that because those people did not have anybody to say I love you before they passed away. And I mean, just like when my father-in-law passed away, I wanted to make sure we were there with them because no one should ever have to, if possible, ever die alone. And I mean, just doing what I do, that was one of the big things I didn't want to have happen because I wanted him to be at peace. And these people just a lot of them aren't at peace with it. Okay, I just got very,
No,
sentimental
you're
there.
okay. It reminds me of like what you're saying. Um, when I was driving back, like leaving drills yesterday, sometimes I'll click on a YouTube documentary and I'll just listen to it while I'm driving. It's just comforting. And I saw one from Paula Pungin. I don't know if you know who Paula Pungin
Mhm.
is, but do you know who Sid and Nancy are? Sid
Oh,
Vicious and Nancy Pungin,
yes,
Sid from the
yes,
Sex Pistols.
yes.
Mhm.
I didn't know all the details of like everything that happened in their lives and about their parents and about how they died and about their drug addictions and like suicide and murder and all of that stuff. I didn't know all that stuff. And his mom was talking about, they were doing an interview with her, and she wrote a book about her and Nancy and how Nancy died and how Sid and her relationship was before and after that. And that she was like, so, it was so hard for her to forgive him because there was alleged that he murdered her daughter. But at the same time, there was never any proof or anything like that. And he felt so bad about it because he was so messed up. But like basically to make a long story short, like for her to like comfort herself, she started a chapter called Parents of Murdered Children in the city and the state that she was from because they didn't have one there. And apparently it was like a big thing, and there were all of these other chapters of it all over the place. And I was like, man, we don't have anything like that here either. I wonder. like what it takes to actually start your own chapter of parents of murdered children. You're just like, I mean, that's not the same. The plague was a murderer in that case. You know what I mean? But just any unexpected, undeserved, surprise death that happens. I guess it's always bad,
I
and
mean,
no, there's no closure most of the
you
time.
can, I mean, you can go in, I know around here, you can go in graveyards and it's just like an entire family with the yellow fever just
Yep.
buried right there together, dying within
Yeah,
days or
infants and
weeks of
babies
each
too.
other. Just the entire family gone. I know, like here, the family stayed where they didn't, but the husband was a doctor and he contracted it and then gave it to his entire family, and then it wiped literally his entire family out. And it's just, you think about that, and I think, you know, that you I don't know, it's gotta be scary. I mean, I know what kind of we're going through now, but I mean, didn't have technology back then. We didn't have medications like we do now. And I mean, cholera, for instance, they would tell people, "Hey, come look at this," and pretty much just shove them into a room and lock it and just let them die.
Wow.
And, they would just sit there in some basement or wherever, and they would die like that.
I think like the biggest comfort back then is if you did have a sickness, like you said that Dad did and gave it to his family, that you weren't dying alone. That was like the biggest only comfort that you had.
Yeah,
Because you knew that it was inevitable.
but Jackie, what you got? Since I didn't do my homework.
We talked a lot about all kinds of things, and I did mine on yellow fever in New Orleans, which
Hmm.
the water system down here in in the 1800s was bad because, like what you said about what you read about the clothes, um, like they had gutters that had like animal stuff in it, human remain stuff in it,
Yeah.
um they had like water sitting in the trenches and everything like that, and that was a breeding ground for yellow fever, and people were drinking the water that because they didn't have drainage systems and stuff like that, they were drinking bad water that was coming from the river. So
Yeah.
at one
With
point they had
fecal
to make
matter in it, E. coli, and all
right,
that stuff.
right. So they had to do a new drainage system, which was in but like in wait a minute, I found it. Like 1902, like in 1899, they finally got people to invest in a drainage system to fix it in New Orleans. Well, during that time, you had immigrants come over because some of the people who did contract the yellow fever, they were immune to it. So you have people like immigrants, like the Irish people, come and they start working on the new Basin Canal,
Uh-huh.
and they were out there during the summer, and there's mosquitoes and staying in water and rain and all that, and they're working in the swamps, and they contracted it. Well, where they died at, that's where they buried them along the levees. And so, like when they came here, they only got paid like maybe $1 a day or something. But when they died, the widows would come and get their money, and they get paid like 50 cents. But when they were doing the Irish cemetery, that's where when they were doing the infrastructure and everything, the Irish cemetery, that's where most of them were, like the graves were, and along the levee and everything. Some people could hear sadness of those
Hmm.
immigrants who wasn't able to do what they wanted to do in life because they were got the yellow fever and was died too early in life. Also, Madame Laveau did healing for the yellow fever for people. I didn't know that until I
No,
read
that's
that.
awesome. I didn't either.
I didn't know
I didn't
that
see that though.
until I read that. Um, she used her spiritual knowledge to heal victims of yellow fever. Um, there's other ones here. Let's see. Charity Hospital, first opened in 1736. Charity saw some of the ugliest waves of the epidemic. Patients were often brought to Charity Hospital in hopes of recovering from the disease in 1858 and recorded 2,700 deaths. Wait a minute. In 1858, a recorded 2,700 were admitted with yellow fever, with 1,400 dying within the hospital walls. The hospital was left abandoned after being destroyed by Katrina in 2005. Locals claim seeing ghost sightings in and around the hospital are common occurrences with the people that died of yellow fever. They had another one. The Harriet the Dow found the Sisters of the Holy Family in 1842, the country's first earliest Black Catholic nun. In 1881, they moved into an old New Orleans ballroom, renaming it St. Mary's Academy, which served as a school and orphanage for Black young girls. St. Mary's was hit quite hard by yellow fever. Several children and nuns lost their lives throughout the epidemic. The Sisters of the Holy Family has since moved to another location, and the building is now the Bourbon New Orleans Hotel. The ghosts of the children who died of yellow fever are said to haunt the halls of this luxury hotel. One commonly seen ghost is a young girl playing with a ball on the sixth floor.
Oh, and that's
So,
at the school, St. Mary's or whatever.
yeah, which is now the New Orleans Bourbon, the Bourbon New Orleans Hotel. It
Oh,
was St. Mary's Academy, but they changed it to the Bourbon New Orleans Hotel. So, I mean, like you said, it was the fleas. Then they said the mosquitoes were the ones that
mm-hmm.
was giving people yellow fever, which went up and down the Mississippi Valley.
Yeah, it started in
And
New Orleans, if I'm not right.
yes,
Yeah.
it did. It's yep. That was the breeding ground for them. Wait a minute, I have the
I think it got so cold, wasn't it, that all the mosquitoes ended up dying, which kind of
yeah.
helped.
That's the same thing happens down here with the mosquitoes. It gets so cold they die, but when it's so hot, and like if it rained, well, like it rained now, and if it was hot, then we
Mhm.
had like buku mosquitoes biting. I don't know if that happened
Yeah,
in Mississippi or
Oh
and
yeah,
then where you
yeah,
live at, you got all that water.
yep.
yeah. Yeah,
Any
I
standing
call it
water.
canals, but we got ditches in front of the house, so it's like that's
Mm-hmm.
standing water right there, and you get attacked. I had how many died up and down the Mississippi. I don't know where I put it.
Hey, Beth.
I don't know where I put it. Oh, this must be it. You know,
See
I
what?
had a list.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jackie. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
What a lot of people don't realize too is a lot of these are still out there. A lot of these
Yes.
is
Yeah,
still going. Like I know, like cholera is still over in what is it, Africa,
Uh-huh.
because they still do. Their water is still not filtrated. When you get into other countries that are not as medically advanced as certain countries, or their filtration systems aren't as good, these diseases are still out there, and
Yes.
yeah,
they're not. I mean, they're. I mean, I don't know how bad. I didn't, like I said, I didn't research this time, but it's just from knowledge of everything. I mean, we forget that people are still dying from some of these diseases.
yeah. I remember. I think it said the bubonic or the black plague is still actually possible to contract too in some
Hmm.
places. Yeah, it's
Howard got
crazy.
bit by a mosquito and got sick. So, I mean, yeah, it's still out there.
We already said put life insurance on Howard that you get. Well, we got you. We got you back.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm. The malaria was caused by mosquitoes.
Yeah. Yep, it's still out there. And now we got COVID.
And you got a doggy wagging his tail behind you too.
Oh,
Yeah, it's Trixie.
Hey, doggy.
And
but
so, because what? You wear your mask every day and you still get the shit.
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
because y'all are just it's how is Howard doing with COVID? Is he still on it and have it, or is he over it yet?
He's feeling a little better.
yeah,
He's feeling better than he felt last week. He
yeah.
just feels tired.
I was wondering if that transfusion would like speed up the process of healing or whatever, or feeling
Yeah,
better.
yes, it did.
Okay, see, they didn't even offer me the transfusion, but I mean, I was over and done with it. Like
Mm.
physical, like the sick part within 24, 48 hours. It was the sore muscles like that got me down.
Mine was headache. It was like somebody he was hitting me with a 2x4 in my
Hey,
head,
Crystal.
and the fever for two
Oh,
days. And after
Yeah.
that, I was fine. Now my daughter had that where she was cold, muscle aches. I never had that.
No, I mean, isn't it? I mean, like people don't realize how many new things we get. Well, and I say people in general, how many new things we get all the time. It's just how fast spreading is it? I mean, there's always something new coming that comes about.
Well, like the one I got is the third one, the Overon or whatever
Yeah,
you
that's
call
what
it.
I got. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so
Omicron.
most of the people who got the booster shot didn't catch it. I'm like, I'm so stupid I didn't get the booster shot.
But
Because
no,
I
they
was
do
thinking about
say that if you get that version, no, they say again, but if you get that version, the antibodies in your system is actually better than the booster.
oh really?
That's
Good.
what I read. Don't know how true that is, but that's what I read.
It also depends on the individual's immune system.
Yeah.
Like how good are their antibodies, how strong is their immune system versus if they got a booster shot. Sometimes they might get a booster shot. And I had a friend, one of the team members that was on our team, Night Terror Collective, he had cancer and he was getting radiation and chemo for it and had just finished that and he got a COVID shot and he died a couple of days later
Oh no.
Wow.
in his house in his bed. Yeah, so I don't know if it's because of the reaction to it, because the system was still weak, and you know how it puts the live virus in you, and like your body reacts sometimes as if it's sick. I guess it just killed him.
Wow.
So yeah. Well, see
Hmm.
now, like my father-in-law, I mean, he did get COVID right before he died, but he was already going downhill before he actually passed.
Yeah.
So COVID, but he actually got over COVID and then passed away. But it was all because of some he ended up with dementia, which actually got him malnutrition because he was not really eating.
Uh-huh.
So I was surprised that COVID didn't get him. I mean, it
Yeah.
was and so they did not list it as a COVID death, but because COVID did not he did not pass away from that. But
I want to pull up the last article just 'cause I thought the island was a pretty cool find too, and read over it, but I'm not going to share until I pull it up. I just feel like it looks better, like if they don't have to go through all that stuff and
well,
see everything.
you were talking about, people with their feces throwing it out. There's still countries out there that you literally go to the edge of a cliff, some a place over in the Dominican. My cousin's from the Dominican, and there's still a place in his hometown that you take your trash to the edge of town and literally throw it over, like
Wow.
over this cliff. Now, what happens to it after that? I don't know. I never asked. I didn't really care. Um, but I mean, there's still places that even do stuff like that, which ends up getting into your water contamination somehow.
Yeah.
Hmm. Here's an article over it. All right, there we go. Screen share. inside the world's most haunted island with a mass burial site. Let's see. And again, this is on the UK news. This is the place right here that's supposed to be haunted. I don't know like, how accessible it is or how, like, like if they're doing tours and stuff. I guess I'll read and find out. This is watch the video.
I'm about to say, how the heck
world-
do you get to that place?
I don't know, but it's pretty cool looking though. I mean, like they have ferries that take you there. There was burial plague pits and an asylum there. That's what this building is right there in the hallway. Asylum. I don't know how long this video is. It's really long now. I feel like a history teacher. Now,
I need a history teacher.
kids, be quiet and stop
starting
throwing
to
your paper
learn.
airplanes.
I'm starting to learn different
video.
things.
Right, he's dropped us off. We've got to get in. We've got to get in quickly before we get spotted. They used it to put all the plague victims. So bubonic plague was all the way over Europe. It was everywhere. And when it came to Venice, they thought, I know what, let's stick everybody on this island and the pandemic could sort it out. A hell of a lot of people have died on this island. Where's that coming from? I don't know. The bell tolling. That's
Oh
quite
my
spooky,
gosh,
isn't it?
that's cool.
I don't know if you can hear it. Listen. Now this is rather unsafe. Look at that ceiling. Have you seen this?
Wow.
So this
The building is
we've
ratchet.
just walked through was one of the main housing areas where people slept. Old housing bit. Look at that. You can see under all the dirt how amazing these buildings actually would have been. So these will have been
Oh my gosh.
one of the original beds, not from the 1300s, but at least from the 60s and before that. We've got bars on the windows here, look. Oh. Does it not go to anything? Let's go and have a look up. Well. Oh, that's not going to stop us.
Oh
Come
my
on, let's give it a
god,
go.
that's crazy. Might as well, I guess.
Right.
Join the rest of the spirits.
It's like sectioned up. It's supposed to be a prison, this, but all the rooms are massive. Oh, this floor though, Andy. I thought it was concrete. It's like a concrete floor, but with wooden beams underneath it. What did he say is in it? Oh, washrooms.
I would break my neck there.
That's so cool.
I know, I'm like,
Yeah,
just
so
watch
you
the
knew
fall,
that
this
when
fall
you've done
fall through
All little tiny
while they're
rooms. Is
recording.
that a toilet? It's
Or a
toilet.
washroom.
Come back out of the prison, and this is the hospital building, apparently. Oh, it's a weird one, this one. It's got like
Looks like a
a
school.
little gully between it. I suppose they'd want to keep the distance, though, wouldn't they, between the...
This is like no man's land.
Yeah.
Between the prison and the
It's a bit
school? I
spooky
hope
in
so.
there.
Jesus.
Just think of the... They've got like their own little balconies in every room, look. This is really strange. I know. It's trashed.
See, they're straight up with Bible.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me this trip a bit death a minute.
I know. Is it... They got heating down there or something?
Yeah, I think so. Just pipes going up.
Right.
Biggest room now.
Look at this. If you pictured like a horror hospital,
Like Resident
It's
Evil?
like,
what is it?
Or
It's got chains on it. Is it for food or
Silent
something like
Hill.
that to hang food up? There's pipes coming off it with like pressure
I was
things.
wondering if it said how you get to the island. That's what I was trying to figure out. Like, how do you get to this island? Let's see if
Well, they were on a boat, so it must be, like you said, a ferry.
or you pay someone to take you there or something. It says it's off the coast of Venice and Lido, Italy, nicknamed the Island of Ghosts due to its grisly past. People were dragged kicking and screaming to this island if they showed even the slightest symptoms of Black Death, according to local tales. The 18-acre plot was also used as a mass burial ground where some 160 victims are thought to have been burned to stop the spread of the disease. Oh my gosh.
Really?
That's crazy.
Yes.
Let's see. I wonder what that is. It looks like a weird tanning bed. Urban Explorers. I want to see if that'd be cool if I could get those guys on one of the shows and talk about that place. I don't know what that is. What does it say? Large containers may have been used to burn bodies. Oh, Lord. It was in the 1920s. There. That's crazy. Look at it. It's like it's just its own place. Like, wow.
Yeah. It's
I was just trying to see also if it said specifically, you were asking if it was one plague or one pandemic or multiple ones. Crazy doctor at the hospital eventually committed suicide by throwing himself from the bell tower. Well, that's going to be
wow.
haunted right there.
I'm not saying then.
Yeah.
How many lives did all these actually affect? Like you said, and with the doctors, the nurses, watching these people die, so a lot of them so horribly. I mean, because
Mhm.
that has to affect you. I mean, I know a lot of people
Yeah.
can just like shut down and not feel anything, but most people can't.
Yeah.
Read that. It said half of the percentage of the island's soil is made up of cremation from human ashes.
Wow.
That's
Mm.
crazy.
That's unreal. Wow.
It's some kind of bridge, I guess. The whole island has been left to rot for decades. That's just amazing. It's amazing. That would definitely, like, if you had a way to get there, it'd be a cool place to go investigate.
Maybe the Things Network can pay for us to go. Just saying,
Yeah.
Airborne
That would be awesome, huh?
fundraiser.
Hey, Jeremy. Hey, Greg. Hey, Denise.
Everyone.
Thank you. We're talking about pandemic deaths and plague deaths and um, different kinds of pandemics, I guess. And that was an island where people were put outside of Italy and they were just forced to go to this island to die. And it was kind of its own little system, like everything there. Just let it go. So he said, "Of course, Eileen, let's just go get some $1 billion lottery tickets."
Well, who's got the lucky, the lucky juju that we can go buy these lottery tickets? Because it's not me.
Huh? I don't know. I've never known how to like receive lucky numbers, but I feel like, what if everyone saw repetitive numbers all the time and they used those numbers to pick?
There you go.
Yeah, from what I understand, Poveglia Island is one of the hardest locations to get to. I think you have to have government permission to go there, Jeremy said.
So showing a little leg won't get you in.
Ernie won $500 last week. Lucky you.
So Denise
Yeah.
spent $500 this week.
Or the next day. No.
Yeah. As soon as he got it in hand, Denise got it in hand.
Oh, funny. I was wondering if I missed anybody. I just like to make sure, acknowledge everybody that's there if I can. It's important. So thank you everybody for watching. Yeah, I don't know. That would be really cool if you could get permission to go to that island. Although, that could be on a bucket list of places to go, just like the other place in Edinburgh, Scotland, where Mary King's Close was at. I don't know. I feel like I'd like to go to either one of those places, really. That would that would be some history.
Yeah.
Some stories. The guy that won the lottery playing numbers from a fortune cookie. What? That was sent to him by somebody important. That's crazy. I've seen the numbers every time you get one of those cookies. You get the numbers on the back on the fortune. I did not see that. I want to look that up. I've always thought about, like, what are these numbers for? It says they're your lucky numbers.
You're like, yeah.
What are you supposed to do with them?
Play the lottery.
Yeah, I guess so. Somebody was smart enough to try that and then won.
Oh no, did they win, Troy? Or did they You know.
He said someone that won the lottery playing numbers
Okay,
from
yeah,
a
I see
fortune
that
cookie.
now. Sorry,
That's pretty
I
awesome.
scan when I read. I don't really just read. I'm very bad. Ask my boss. I just scan.
That's funny.
Yeah. I don't do lottery.
It
I mean,
just means you're
fortune cookies.
multitasking, right? That's why. Because
I
you're
don't.
being superwoman.
I don't
Uh,
do fortune cookies because the old man that used to live in my apartment complex, we went to go eat Chinese food, and he, my open mind, have a you're gonna have a good day. A friend of ours opened one. You're gonna get money. He opened his. He was an alcoholic. All right, very bad alcoholic. He opened his. It said expect to die, and the next day he died. I was
oh
like,
my
okay,
I
no
gosh.
did
more
not know
fortune
they even
cookies.
said that in fortune cookies.
Yes, it did. I was like,
I always make
and
a
the next,
joke that if someone doesn't have a fortune in their cookie, that means their life's going to end soon. They don't have a fortune, so that means that they're not going to be living much longer. I just
and he
think it's funny.
died.
Hmm.
His liver exploded because of the drinking.
Speaking of Chinese fortune sticks, those are pretty
Well,
Yes,
I
good.
used to buy like fortune cookies in the box, and because my
Mm.
son loves them, and just eat them at home. And so my son loves him some fortune cookies. So
These
glad I never
came
had one that said that.
like there's a bunch of
I
these in
was
a.
shocked. I never
They're
saw
like a
them like
fortune
that
cookie on a
before. I was
stick.
like,
See, it's like
Huh.
if you had a fortune cookie on a stick. It says your
expect to
work is
die.
best done alone, not in a group. So that message is
Uh-oh.
for somebody.
I think that's like cursing us with you.
Cursing you with me. What? You're not my group. I'm my group. Is that what you're saying?
You don't want to be with us. I'm hurt.
No, but it might be actually somebody that was wondering if they should go down their own path or if they should stay in a group like they're conflicted. Maybe somebody needed to hear that.
What?
But yeah, these are neat. There's a whole bunch of them, like a ton of them. And
She
I
ain't
used to
going
use
nowhere.
them to be reading. No, this is my only
She
interaction.
loves
Except
us.
I went to drills this weekend, but like you still have to wear masks and you're supposed to stay socially distant, but you can't. And then I'm mentoring this kid. They gave me a young sailor to mentor to take under my wing. And it's not his fault. He was around someone yesterday that had COVID, but of course it would be like the kid that I have to mentor. Poor boy. And he was around someone that had COVID, so I did a rapid test and it said it was negative today. So
Wow.
I don't know how quick they work though. Like if it was just that I wasn't around him yesterday and
I
not
know
around him today.
mine took 5 days for me to show symptoms. Excuse me, show symptoms.
Yeah, I figured if I
That's
start
gonna take
showing any in the
5 days
next few
from
days,
when you're exposed.
okay, then I'll do another one
Yeah, I
in a
think
couple.
a
If I
guy
start
from
having some
Darts
symptoms.
gave me a hug, and then a couple of days later, I found out he's got COVID. Then I got COVID.
Ah,
Mm.
Oh
Hey,
no, they got
Leanne.
it
Oh wait,
too.
no, I thought
They
you
did
said
not
hey,
tell
Leanne.
me.
Oh, that's sad.
Tell them I'm mad. They did not tell me that.
This is the oldest known method of fortune telling in the world. I'm not joking. Look at that. These came from Harry Potter World at Disney and Universal. I wonder how real they are. I wonder how real that statement is. They just tested positive.
true.
Uh,
Denise, oh, not Denise.
Leanne and
Leanne
Todd.
and Todd. SQ.
Everybody is catching it.
Yeah.
This one's going
How
through
can
so
you go to
rapid,
the house?
but it's
How
so
can you
quick.
go to the hospital and you have a serious cold and they text and they test you and they say, okay, you got COVID, but you have the flu. How can they extinguish one from the other? How you know I didn't have the flu or Howard didn't have the flu?
Yeah, the cells would have to be different.
Well, they say the new variant that's coming out is actually weaker. That every variant that keeps coming out is weaker and weaker and weaker. A friend of mine just told me like I said, there's a new variant that just came back out and it's weaker than the other.
Yeah.
But it's funny how certain places get hit harder than other places, and it's not even based on. And I'm talking about from all this: the yellow fever, the cholera, the tuberculosis. How it's you know, it doesn't hit this state as hard as it hits this state, and it's not based on the population.
Or one country as much as another.
Right.
Yeah. And that they have such. I always try to like compare though and talk to people from those other countries and see what are their laws and their regulations about it, and what are they doing to make it different that we're not doing, or what are they doing differently that than what we're doing, to see versus how many cases here and there.
Jeremy, Denise, I'm with y'all. But yeah, and I was we were very impressed with our local coroner because he specifically asked us if we
That's what I heard.
wanted them to put COVID on my father-in-law's death certificate. And we're like, the doctor's like, he didn't die from COVID. So he's like, we're not putting it on the death certificate. We were so surprised that, he did that.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about the other day with somebody. The people that like refuse to get vaccinated. They refuse to stay socially distant, and they refuse to wear a mask. And I'm like, if they get it, I do not feel sorry for them. If they just won't cooperate in any kind of way to be like keeping themselves safe or not sick, and they're purposely choosing that path, then I don't feel sorry for them if they get it.
Like I said, whether it was COVID I had, whether it was, like I said, it said it was COVID, but I was fine within 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. 2 days.
Yep. From start to finish. Now, the only thing I've found is I still can't sleep at night.
Yeah.
I would be up at 4:00 in the morning, and I have problems sleeping at night. Don't know why. I think I just got my body out of schedule.
Yeah. There were some other weird things that were side effects or whatever that I read articles about too, though, that were strange. And it wasn't the taste and it wasn't the smell or anything like that. It was some other odd things. But I do know that like one thing that it seems has been common is like people that do lose their taste and their smell. It never came back the same. And they don't like certain things. They don't taste the same now that they did before. And they like other things that don't taste the same that they didn't like before. So
I about to say, I don't know about you, Jackie. I never lost taste and smell. It literally was.
That smell, but I lost taste.
Well, sometimes
that
I have
could be-
teenage boys. I would have liked to lose my smell.
Yeah. I might have lost my smell. I have dogs. So I might have lost my smell. I didn't smell that for a couple of days, but my taste, my taste buds were gone.
You see, no.
It's like he said, how would say, what do you want to eat? Hot sausage. You don't like hot sausage. Yes, I do. And I ate that sucker too. It didn't even burn my mouth or nothing. It was like a different taste. But the monsters, now I can't drink them. Yep, I can't drink them.
Oh my goodness. He wanted you to quit drinking them. Maybe that's a good thing.
I tried to, and the taste is so bad that I just threw the rest of them away.
That's funny.
Might drink a couple of sips. Tastes funny.
All right, guys.
That could be because of COVID.
Yeah, it's after 7.
I was saying, I promised my family we'd go back and finish working on the house. So
There's also a show that comes on too at 7. I'm pretty sure. So, thank you everybody that was watching. Thank you all for joining. Denise, Pamela, Jeremy, everybody else that's been on here. Everyone have a good week.
Thank y'all.
Bye.
Thank you.